Oh
that one's
God.
drilled deep to right field.
Hurts going deep for it all. Devontae Smith.
He has been fantastic in this fourth.
Wow.
A break in on goal, and he's gone.
To this late night edition of Two Mics All Sports. Joe is not able to join us tonight. He got called into work late. So I'm joined by a special guest, Justin. What's going on, man?
I don't know, Zach. After the shit we watched Thursday, I honestly don't know, man. I'm doing all right though. So
Yeah, it's very tough to say the least. Obviously, like just starting off with the past weekend and now where we are a week later, we feel shell shocked. We feel emotionless. But in particular, this video, it's going to be about this playoff window of Philadelphia Phillies baseball, but in particular, the 2025 Phillies. We're going to be talking about how when the postseason started, everything just seemed to crumble, and we're basically to be answering these questions that everyone's been answering. Everyone's been wondering and trying to answer ever since the season's been over. So obviously, the season ended in catastrophe with, you can see behind Justin, Orion Kerkering had an easy play. And instead of throwing it to first base, which he would have had Andy Pages by a mile, decides to throw it home over JT Realmuto and ends the season in a dramatic fashion. What were your honest reactions and thoughts when that play happened?
honestly, Ryan Kerkering said this himself on interviews. It was a horseshit throw. Horseshit. Like, I was just watching it from my couch. My family was just in complete disappointment. My dad was like jumping out of his chair, just saying, why did he do that? What boneheaded move? Like, Andy Pages was 55 away from first base, and then Kim was 30 feet away from home plate. So in that moment, he kind of just like panicked and just thought he could easily get Kim out at home. But no, just completely misfired to Realmuto. And like that's how the season ended, in like a pathetic throw. Like that in that point, that shouldn't happen. Like especially in playoff games. Just terrible way to go out. Terrible.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. But I knew the game was really over once they took out Jesus Luzardo, because the way I look at it is tomorrow is not guaranteed. You were using Jesus Luzardo already. Why not throw him out there till the very end? He's a starting pitcher at the end of the day. He can get up to 70, 80 pitches and win you the game. Like Seattle did it last night with their pitchers, and obviously they're moving on. The Phillies could have done it, but Kerkering is terrible with runners on. If you wanted to throw him in, you would have let Luzardo finish that inning with 2 outs already, and then started Kerkering with a fresh inning. Honestly, the way they were playing, I really don't think they were going to win that game, but it's very frustrating, and it's just difficult to watch the way they did lose. And Kerkering, he panicked. He's a young guy. It's understandable. It's not the reason we lost at the end of the day, but it still raises a lot of questions. It makes fans, including us, very frustrated. And the questions, what could have happened after that, which I don't think it could have been much, just the way the trajectory of the game was going. But it definitely frustrates at the time. But overall, the thing I mainly want to talk about is the inability of this offense. You're handing out close to $900 million between some of your top guys, and they can't do jack shit at the plate. Castellanos had 2 hits, which I don't even think he should have been playing, in my opinion. He had 2 hits that were RBI hits. Don't get me wrong, those were in game 2. That was a huge hit. But then other things, he was making boneheaded plays in the outfield. Can't swing the bats consistently, and the offense as a whole was terrible. Schwarber had that one game. Other than that, he was a no-show. Harper was a complete disappointment in this series. No way, like, he might have had a few hits, but he was a complete disappointment for what you expect out of him. Trey Turner was terrible except for game 3, and even then he had a few tacky hits. And then just overall, the rest of the lineup was a no-show between crybaby, almost 30-year-old Alec Boehm. I've been done with him for a while now. He's a piece of crap. Bryson Stott won't be able to develop much. He's not doing much. Harrison Bader getting knocked out early in the series and letting him not play sucks, because then you had to put out the dumbass and Brandon Marsh, who doesn't know what he's doing. He struck out so many times in Game 4 when there was many opportunities for the Phillies to pounce and get some runs on the board. So the inability of this offense is completely inexcusable, and is the reason why they have to blow up this core, and this championship window they had that started in 2022 is shut for good, I think, in my opinion.
No, totally agree with you. This offense was just cold, just complete cold this entire series. Lost game one at home, lost game two at home by one run. One run. Your offense literally produced during the ninth inning when the Dodgers got into the bullpen, and Dave Roberts was like completely brain dead in the dugout. Like I honestly thought he was gonna lose that game just because of how like bad he was back then. And then somehow you travel to LA, you win that game, just complete. The top three guys in the lineup, they actually showed up today, especially Schwarber. One of the home runs he hit was way out of here, way out of into the parking lot. So that was at least something. And then game four, it was just a close situation, and yet offense just lacks again. But the main thing I kind of want to talk about is the starting pitching for this postseason. You had Sanchez, Luzardo, Suarez, Nola, just complete gems after gems again. It's like it's the offense. They don't do anything. They go out there, they perform like their best. They actually want a chance to win and get this team into the NLCS. It just didn't happen this year. The Dodgers just came into the series and kicked their ass again. Just just destroyed them. I don't know what else there is. There's something that's got to change. I think one of the main things is Rob Thompson himself. That dude does not know how to manage a bullpen, does not know how to manage a team. He's complete senile in the dugout. Just does not defend for this team. He has no heart, no emotion. I think he should be gone next year. You got to rebuild with this team. Like I'm telling you, because that stuff like that can't happen when your starting pitching is doing all the work for you and your offense is just complete cold in this series. I'm absolutely done with it. It cannot happen.
Yeah. I've been harping on firing Thompson since last year, and it made it even more evident in this series. Bunting when you have all the momentum in game two with one of your best hitters notoriously for Scott's been notorious year after year for getting clutch hits. 2022 his rookie year against Spencer Strider. 2022
He's been having great defensive plays as well.
exactly. And 2023 he hits
Having great defensive plays.
2023 he hits a grand slam against the Marlins. Last year on his birthday, when that was also his birthday this year too, he hits a huge hit against the Mets to give them the lead. And you have all the momentum. Castellanos on second base. And worst case scenario, he strikes out and then you move on. But then best case scenario, he gets Castellanos home and this is a tie ball game with no outs and you have a chance to walk it off. But you decide to bunt it. Not only with Stott, who's a good hitter, like I said, time at that turn time, like he can be that. Castellanos is one of the slowest, if not the slowest player in baseball. He was not going to be able to move up the line that fast. Mookie Betts was ready as soon as that bump was laid down. It was basically race to the plate and race to third base, and Mookie Betts won that by a mile. Rob Thompson was completely brain dead this series. He had no idea what he was doing. And like you said, he shows absolutely no emotion in the dugout, does not care whatsoever for these players, and just gives the same generic answers again and again after they lose these pathetic games. And then game one was terrible manage-wise. Obviously, the offense should have put up more than 3 runs, but then after he took out Chris Sanchez, the pitchers he threw out in the bullpen, he terribly managed that. Matt Strahm, they knew exactly what he was throwing in that inning, and that's why it led to Teoscar Hernandez hitting that huge 3-run home run. Andy Pajes on second base literally was relaying the information to him, and Rob Thompson thought it was a good idea to throw him out there. When Strahm is a great regular season pitcher, but it's notorious, back-to-back years at least, terrible postseason pitcher. Obviously, he had a good 9th inning against the Dodgers in Game 4, but when it comes down to it, Strahm is not notable for making plays. David Robertson should have never came back in when he got put in for Sanchez. Orion Kerkering was terrible in every opportunity he had. And the only time he came in and was good because it was a low severage situation. They were already down 2 runs and it couldn't have got worse than that. And then Johan Duran, I think it's absolute bullshit that they were actually doing the whole Duran thing walkout when he was in both games we were losing too, which is absolutely insane. The fans were booing them and I don't blame them. He's a great pitcher. He doesn't need all that stuff when we're losing. He only needs that stuff when we're winning. And the offense and the team as a whole just didn't deserve that. And it made no impact, obviously, whatsoever. And then, like you said, they waited till the 9th inning in Game 2. You waited to the 9th inning in a playoff game to finally start producing runs and expected that you were going to win the game. And then Dave Roberts was handing you the game. He threw out one of the worst bullpens in the league. He threw out Vesia, Blake Trinan, who's been god-awful this year. And you're just giving him bunts. You're just giving him easy outs. It's absolutely inexcusable. And he got outmanaged by a guy who was literally handing you the series. If you really realistically think about it, they could have swept this Dodgers team. And then, obviously, at the time, I felt 50-50 about the Ohtani decision. But after I heard Rob Thompson's reasoning, I don't know if you heard about this, Rob Thompson's reasoning on why he intentionally walked Ohtani is because back in May, between March and May, when Duran was still with the Minnesota Twins, he gave up a home run to Ohtani, and that's the reason he intentionally walked him. That's way early in the season, and Duran's a different pitcher now. He's with a different team. That's a complete bullshit answer. And now looking back at it, Ohtani sucks against us. He was like 1 for 17, and you just let him get on base. And then obviously you don't lose the game because of Duran. It's tough giving up that run. But the way I want to wrap it up is Duran, once he gave up that run, anything the Phillies had in their dugout was completely gone, and that was the turning point in the game, and ultimately led to them losing, I think.
Yeah, for sure. It's just inexcusable time after time after time again. And this team has shown it for like a consecutive 4 years. And they've done it, losing to the World Series, the NLCS, and the NLDS twice. Just because of all those above. I like this series how we just kept Ohtani off with those breaking ball pitches for our starting pitches. That was only like the really good thing because he's a power hitter. Because if you get stuff like right in the middle of the play, it's leaving the yard for this dude. But like he was just swinging and missing at those breaking balls. But for Duran, I don't blame him. To be honest, it wasn't his choice to come out into the game when they were down. Both games at home, and then he just had to cue the entrance. Like he wasn't saving anything. Thompson just made a terrible decision. Like I don't know what else there is, man. Like Duran pitched fine in this series. I would definitely see him back on this team next year with more energy because that's exactly what this bullpen needs. And this offense just still Nick Castellanos is absolutely just washed. Like he's not that guy anymore. He's just constantly getting moved in and out of the lineup in right field, and it's just terrible. He's not that guy anymore. Just swinging at the first pitch as usual, and just giving you these shitty at bats. Other guys, especially Brandon Marsh, he had a hot bat like back in August, September in the postseason, didn't do anything. Real Muto was probably like the only really good offensive player this series because number one, he had a triple in Game 3 to give them a 3-0 lead back then. But then the Dodgers, of course, gave up the 3-run home run to Teoscar Hernandez. But then the first three guys in the lineup, like they got to show up for this series. Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper. I know Game 3 was huge because they were hitting pitches off Kershaw, the retiring Dodgers legend. But yeah, they didn't show up. They didn't show up for the rest of the games. It turns out like that was their only really good game to just keep them out of elimination for now. And then Game 4 just rolls around and they just didn't do anything. Like you just combine all their hits. They didn't show up and hit. Like Bryce Harper, he's not that showman anymore. He's not that guy. Unless he can somewhat try to like avoid swinging and missing at those breaking balls, like he's done. He's not that guy. He's not the face of this team. It's got to be somebody else. And Trey Turner, he hasn't been good since he came back off of injury. He's just been waving and missing too much. Just not a lot of hits for this team. Like those three guys, they got to show up and play. Because if they do some damage on this team, it would be a whole different story. But this wasn't the case. And the starting pitching was amazing as well. And then the bullpen comes in, just blows the lead right away. Like too much pressure on these guys. Like if Rob Thompson just keeps doing that in these situations, they're going to keep losing more games. It's that plain and simple. And like this series has definitely shown why he should not be the manager on this team anymore. And something has to change. Like now, like right now. I'm done. It's frustrating. It's absolutely frustrating.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. And it's like I like you bring up the point about the bullpen because the pitch, like we mentioned, the starting pitching was fantastic in this series. No other team has gotten this good of starting pitching, I think, in the entire playoffs. But then the offense's inability to score runs has then set up for them to force in to throw in the bullpen because these pitchers have given you all they got, and then that 1 or 2 run lead you have is evaporated like that because you had opportunities. Perfect example in Game 1. They got to Shohei Ohtani quick. They had him all out of sorts, but then Ohtani took it all away and completely shut them down. Obviously, he was 0 for 4 in that game, but he pitched a gem in my opinion. He gave up those 3 runs, but then after that, he was completely dominant. I'd rather take what he gave them in Game 1 than not getting any hits at all. Because then, the turning point of it all, Kyle Schwarber, first and second, 3-0. He hits a 3-run nuke. This game is over. Anything the Dodgers might have to try to grab onto is gone. Schwarber works a full count. Ohtani throws him a curveball, and Schwarber looks silly. And then from that point forward, everything started to go downhill because Chris Sanchez came back out the next inning, gave up the 2-run double to Kike Hernandez, and then a few innings later, when you know it, Matt Strom gives up a 3-run jack to Teoscar Hernandez. And like that, the game is switched because you couldn't get the timely runs and the timely hitting when you needed to. And I honestly think at this point, I've said this to everyone I've talked to, they only played the way they did in Game 3 to shut up all the fans and try to get them back hooked in. I didn't believe it for a second. I'm like, I need to see what you do tomorrow more than I saw tonight because obviously they're going to try to at least win one game. But then they put everything they had into Game 3 because they had nothing left in Game 4. And Game 4 looked like the entire series for this offense. It's completely frustrating, and I'm fed up with it. Like, at this point, obviously, Harrison Bader would have made an impact. But how much of it would have been? Because, yes, he could have got on 3 or 4 times during a game. But who would have got him home? Realistically, who would have got him home? Because between Alec Boehm, Nick Castellanos, Bryson Stott, Brandon Marsh, and then the top 3 lineup, Schwarber, Turner, Harper, none of these guys knew what they were doing, and barely any of them had timely hitting. It was completely frustrating, and at this point, it happened last year, it happened again this year, and the real question we have to ask is, obviously, the entire city of Philadelphia loves Kyle Schwarber, and we wanted to give him a blank check. I'm not even bringing him back, in my opinion, at this point. I don't know if you feel that way, but that's how I feel, because time after time, we get these players on big contracts, and the common issue that occurs is the offense's inability to get timely hitting and timely runs. How do you feel, though, about the whole Schwarber situation?
To be honest, I would not bring him back on this team either. I'm with you on the same page on this one. To be honest, he was really good in the offseason. 56 home runs. He won the National League All-Star MVP with 3 straight Schwarber bombs. And then come postseason, he's just in a slump. Like, I don't know what is it with this guy. He's just swinging and missing at everything, just leaving big opportunities like out at home plate. Just I don't know what it is with this guy. I think if he just gets traded somewhere else, like such as Cincinnati or maybe Chicago, maybe it might be better for him because that offense seems to like actually want to win games. And he thought that this team was going to win it all. But I guess not this year because you absolutely stink. Game 3 was your only good game, and you couldn't get anything else going for the offense. Nothing else. So I probably would not bring him back this year. The way he's been swinging the bat as of lately in the postseason. Like, come off season, you have such a great season for yourself, and then you just throw it all away in the postseason like it doesn't even matter. Like, at this point, you just gotta go.
Exactly. Because at this point, yes, we wouldn't have gotten anywhere without him, but at the same time, I don't want to pay him over $200 million to bat 156 in the playoffs with a few home runs and barely doing anything the rest of the series when I already have to pay Trey Idiot Turner $300 million. That contract is just going to get worse and worse as the year goes on. Bryce Harper.
Same thing with Bryce Harper. Same thing with Harper.
Exactly. And then don't even get me started on freaking Aaron Nola. Obviously, he pitched 2 good innings, but you gave him a 7-year contract, and he's already over 30 years old and gave up the most home runs this year. And he barely played any games. That's the thing about it. Like, he's a home run pitcher now. Like, he just throws meatball after meatball after meatball down the plate, and they're just getting knocked out of the park here and there. Like, you have terrible contracts. I talked about it with Kenny on Sunday's episode. He talked about it. There's terrible contracts on this team, and it's only going to set back this team from now and the near future when they're stuck with these contracts. Because if you realistically think about it, 5 to 10 years from now, it's just going to be a nucleus of young guys, and then Bryce Harper and Trey Turner playing first and shortstop. So,
Yeah, that's basically what it is. Something's got to change with the offense for sure. Get some prospects up here. Get Justin Crawford up here. Get Aiden Miller up here. You're letting them rot in AAA. These are straight up opportunities that you gotta go in and be like, you know what, these guys have shown it when they were back in AAA, and I think they're definitely worthy of being MLB. And the same thing with Adrian Painter. Adrian Painter might not have had it back in Lehigh, but at the same time, who are you going to have when you try and get rid of some of your bullpen guys? Like, who's that? Who's going to be that hole? Who's going to be that like fifth or sixth hole? That's a major concern. I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how he is come spring training. But
yeah,
something to consider.
Yeah, I think you bring up the great point about Andrew Painter. Because this dude's already had a Tommy John surgery. He's already 22 years old. What the hell are you waiting for? Realistically, you got to get him up here because the way I look at it is he's Ranger Suarez replacement because Ranger Suarez, you can kiss him goodbye. The second Scott Boras signed as his agent, which is also Bryce Harper's agent, he's gone. He's about to get $200 million. The only thing that'll be crazy for me, if I see him sign with the Mets, oh my God. Oh my God!
I'm gonna lose it. I know there's some shit on social media spreading real fast about that, and like I cannot. But like if we sign Pete Alonso for first base, I think that would be like really funny just to rub it in their face. I'm like, oh, we have your first base all-star, your home run leader, and then you have our one pitcher from the bullpen, or our starting pitcher, excuse me. But yeah, Ranger Suarez is definitely someone who I want to see back on this team this year, going into this free agency, because he's been one of the better starting bullpen guys, and definitely shown it in game 3, I think it was, when he took over at NOLA. He was just spectacular that game.
He's your best. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's all good. I think he's definitely had a bit. He's had a bit iffy, like the second half of the season. It's second half Ranger, and of course he was fine coming back from injury in the first half. But at the end of the day, it's Ranger Suarez. It's postseason Ranger Suarez. He's going to do what he's going to do best, and he's going to deliver something for you. So I definitely think you definitely got to re-sign this guy next year if you have the opportunity. Like that. That's your main goal. Just get Ranger back.
Yeah, and I love that to happen. Just today, and today's MLB. It's going to be so tough to do because there's other teams that have been scouting him since the season started, since Scott Boras signed as his agent. The worst case scenario for the Phillies, if he goes to a National League team, then they're screwed. Like, I've seen him being mocked to San Diego. If they throw him into that starting rotation and then have the ability to throw him out in the postseason, good night. That's going to be absolutely gross in my opinion. And
hey, you know what he did? You know what he did when he was our bullpen pitcher for San Diego and NLCS? It'd just be terrible if I'd ever just see that happen. Like, just terrible.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, realistically, this is majority of your free agents. You got Schwarber, you got Real Muto, you got Suarez, you have Harrison Bader on like a club option. Hopefully he gets extended. Jesus Luzardo should be extended. Max Kepler.
Absolutely. I've loved that man ever since the first Dodgers game back in April. He's just been on fire. He had somewhat of a roller coaster within like the first season leading into the second season, but he's been a lot better, like trying to like not tip his pitches more and just trying to fire as many things in it some point below the strike zone, or just like throwing sweepers away somewhere near the strike zone where hitters can just get completely off balance. Yeah. So I definitely think you can re-sign this guy this year.
Yeah, and they have control of him. The main thing for Bader and Luzardo, they have control of them for at least the following year. It's just possibly if they want to extend them. And also, we were talking about Rod Thompson getting fired, everyone else, the team looking different. Dombrowski, I'm also looking you right in the eye. The past few years, you thought that Max Kepler and Jordan Romano were enough for this team. You obviously saw that didn't work. Obviously, Max Kepler
That
played
was a
better as
mistake.
late.
That was absolutely a mistake. Jordan Romano is arguably the worst Phillies pitcher I've ever seen. Just the worst pitcher I've ever seen in a Phillies uniform. Just lays out meatball after meatball. Just lays out slider right in the middle and just automatic grand slam. Just leaving so many opportunities just right in the middle of the plate. And just this guy was our closer from like the first half before we actually got to Ron. Guess not now. This guy has to be gone. Thank God he wasn't in the postseason. Because if he came in instead of Kirkering, it'd just be a whole different story. This guy's good to go. We've seen enough of him in the offseason. He can just go back.
Yeah, he would have gave up a grand slam probably.
He absolutely would have.
Yeah.
And I'd be pissed off because it's time and time again when you put him in these situations. It's predictable. It's predictable what's going to happen.
Yeah. But let me ask you this then. We're talking about the 2025 Phillies, but give me one word for each of these Phillies playoff series or seasons we've had between 2022 and 2025. Give me one word that would describe each of those runs.
Like each individually, where do you want to go, or just like the whole run as a whole?
Just individually,
Like,
starting with 2022, give me one word to describe that playoff run, and then keep going from 23, 24, and 25. All
right, so we have 2022. They got into the World Series. That was a big moment between the Astros, but they did ended up losing. So I say it was definitely amazing in my opinion. Back when Rhys Hoskins was on the team, just amazing. What a time. The 2023 NLCS when the Diamondbacks, that was terrible. I still cannot live down to that moment these days. They were this close, just this close, and the Diamondbacks just took the game at home. Like at that point, I wouldn't say they got hot at the right time. They swept the Marlins in the wild card series. They took down the Braves. That was a really good NLDS series. The Harper stare down, Harper and Castellanos just hitting bomb after bomb. The offense was really good that series. 2024, just absolute massacre. That was arguably the second worst series I've seen. Only game 2 by a complete walk-off, and like you couldn't do anything for 6 innings when Harper and Castellanos went back-to-back on Severino and got him pulled from the game. Like that was it. Sanchez and Wheeler back in those games at home, they pitched gems. They were spectacular. And then just offense could not do anything for the first game at least. But the second game was little tight. And then when they go to Queens, absolutely dead. Their offense was just dead. They only scored a consecutive 3 runs that entire series. And just terrible. They made Manaea look like he was back in his prime again. Like, terrible. And then this year, it's basically the same. Just terrible massacre. Again, lost the 2 games at home. I honestly thought they were done after they went to LA in game 3. But they did end up coming back in game 3, and then game 4 was an absolute nail-biter. Just tied at 1-1, and then Kirkering with the horseshit throw to just finish off this season. Just absolutely pathetic. Overall, I'd say there's probably at least like 1 out of 4 on this entire series run.
Yeah. At the end of the day, this is how I assess the core as a whole. They went from a team that was together and had so much to look forward to a bunch of individuals that could give two craps about each other. That's pretty much what it came down to, because in 2022, I was on top of the world. I felt great. This was nothing at least me and you have never seen before, because we weren't old enough for them when they had those cores between 2008 and 2012, ultimately winning it in 2008. So this was our first experience with them being this good, and we got a pretty good first experience because that was just so much fun to watch. And they were underdogs. No one expected them to do anything. They didn't even expect them to win that St. Louis series. They went in there, had an historic comeback. Gene Segura was amazing in that series.
Oh, Gene Segura.
He was an amazing player.
You got to take me back, bro.
Dude, I miss him so much.
He was a great second baseman.
Exactly. And then obviously game 2, you got Sir Anthony Dominguez gutting out Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado. Now he's with the Toronto Blue Jays in the American League Championship Series.
Same thing with Hoffman.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe it. That just still pisses me off. We traded this guy for Jordan Romano. The dude has like a much better series now. Like, what the hell happened? It's the same thing with Carlos Estevez when we got like Carlos Hernandez, and then we DFA'd his ass, along with Joe Ross too. He was absolutely terrible. Just Estevez had a much better series with the Royals, even though they're not in the playoffs anymore. Like, at least like 48 saves.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
And he has like a sub 250 ERA. So. No,
yeah,
but then just knocking off the Braves when that team looked better than ever. That game 3, Bryson Stott, Spencer hitting that ball after Spencer Strider working that count, and then Rhys Hoskins, goodbye. At that point, right then and there, I was like, this team is special. And then looking back, we were 2 wins away from beating a very good Astros squad. This team was in the World Series two out of the last 3 years before that, losing both times. So they were due to get one. But a team that won 87 games and got into the playoffs because they beat the Astros, took them to Game 6, and were this close to winning it all. Realistically, because their format in every series came to fruition in every series. The only thing is, the ultimate result wasn't a World Series championship. But we had so much to look forward to. And then we thought, as delusional Philly fans, Trey Turner was the missing piece because although Segura was good, he struggled tremendously in the World Series. And obviously, at the time, we thought Trey Turner was an upgrade over Gene Segura. Boy, were we wrong, because this dude's a dumbass and does not know what he's doing defensively, sometimes offensively. But that's beside the point. And then the shell shock of 2023 being 1 win away. You had 2 games in Philadelphia. You were up 2-0, and then you had the opportunity to win the series by just winning 1 game in Philadelphia where you were amazing in. And you couldn't seem to do that. Unbelievable. And like you said, the World Series that year were 2 teams that just got hot at the right time, because you saw it the following year. Those teams flamed out like there was no tomorrow. Diamondbacks didn't even make the playoffs. Texas didn't even make the playoffs. They just fired Bruce Bochy, and they have no idea where they're going. And then, obviously, last year, that was pathetic. I know me and you talked about that all the time last year because it was just pathetic to watch.
Yeah, I know you had a whole entire rant about that where you were just completely talking about it. Just absolutely terrible series. That Mets team was just completely different than the one that we saw this year. Even though they signed Juan Soto, they thought that was the key piece for their offense, but it was just their complete offense and their pitching just got worse as a whole this year.
Yeah. It's kind of like us. They thought, they were 1 missing piece away. Obviously, they were not. But the Mets team last year reminded us in 2022. A team with no expectations and just rode rode their thing. We rode the song Dancing on My Own.
Dancing on My Own.
That took us very far. They rocked the freaking Grimace and the Oh My God by Jose Iglesias, and that got them to the championship series against the Dodgers. Yeah. And then this year, I told you, I think I told you this numerous times, you can't run back the same team. And the only thing we heard trade-wise was trading Nick Castellanos and Alec Boehm to the Houston Astros for Kyle Tucker. I don't know how stupid they have to think that organization is, but that's the only trade we heard. And then they ran the same team back. I didn't expect much out of them. Obviously, they had their great moments. They had their very bad moments. But at the end of the season, everyone thought, this team is World Series caliber. I wanted to believe that, but I was hesitant and kind of just sat back and ultimately fell in the middle. Obviously, never cease to amaze us Phillies. They failed to succeed
No.
when the lights are the brightest, and now they're left with the past 4 years being a failure. I don't care if you got to the World Series in 2022. You had the opportunity to improve from that, and you went down instead of up. Ever since you went to that World Series in 2022, it's been disappointment after disappointment, and then just the ultimate icing on the cake with this year.
This was basically like the same team for like the past 4 years. And just like every season, it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. Like, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Like something has to change with this team. Because this era is like absolutely done for now. You're losing a lot of guys this year. You gotta start making some moves. Because if you really wanna prove yourself to be an actual World Series team contender, you gotta start acting like fucking one. You gotta start acting like it. Because it's just been terrible year after year after year. And us Phillies fans just cannot take this bullshit anymore. We can't.
Yeah, because as us fans, we have to sit through a freaking 162 game season all throughout the summer because that's what gets us through the summer realistically and sports wise, just to get to the postseason and you shit the bed. You pretty much shit your pants because you have no idea what you're doing. It's that plain simple. They have no idea what they're doing. They're just sitting there like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just swinging and missing.
They're just absolutely frozen. Like come at the home plate. Like some of the hitters just taking like fastballs that are right down the middle, and I'm just like infuriated. I'm just like, that's it right there. If you just hit that ball, you change that entire game. But they just look at it, and I'm just like, I don't get it. I honestly don't get it. Like, are you just making terrible contact when you're at the plate? Like, are you just not that guy anymore? Can you like not? You can't hit anymore. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
You're just leaving it like right down the middle of the plate, and they're destroying you. They're mowing you down. Like, it's terrible. It's terrible to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Just shitty at bats from this offense. It really was.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it's pretty much summed up perfectly. The ultimate recap and how I'm going to recap before I send you off with your final thoughts. This team was a team that had everything ahead of them, were perfectly constructed, and now we look back and who's to say they don't go back to the playoffs for another 10, 15 years because the way they position themselves right now. Yes, they'll have Harper and Turner, but this team's still not good. Say you lose all these players, your team's going to be worse than it already was, and you can't make exponential moves in one offseason. One offseason can't fix the many issues they have, the layering issues that completely have destroyed this baseball team. And as of right now, you're even questioning should you keep your president of baseball operations, Dave Dombrowski. You have questions.
Should you even keep your manager? Should you even keep Tom Topper? Like, is he in a hot seat right now? I don't even know, because the players look like they actually give a shit for him, and they're just lying to the media, like right in our face. Like they're just sticking up for this guy because he thinks he's that emotional guy and he sticks up for his players. He's not. He's not that guy. He hasn't been that guy. I mean, yeah, sure, he took us to the World Series back in 2022 when he took over. But then his tactics and his lefty righty shit just don't work anymore. It's not that it's that simple. It's not what we need anymore. Yeah. We definitely need a new manager, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Like,
and you might
come spring training.
You might need to clear house with the coaching staff. Why keep Kevin Long as the hitting coach? It's obviously not working. And then at this point, all these decisions, it kind of seems like Bryce Harper has very much intel into. Bringing in Trey Turner was probably something to do with him. He played with Nick Castellanos on the U.S. national team back in 2009 when they were in Venezuela. He has relationships with Kyle Schwarber. All these kind of guys, if you really look at it, Bryson Stott, they have that Vegas connection. He loves Bomer. Him and JT have a good relationship. All these kind of guys he has, and then even Jeff Hoffman. Jeff Hoffman that would have been on this team if it wasn't for Bryce Harper. It kind of seems like Bryce Harper has his input in this organization. And if we were learned anything that just doesn't work in the modern MLB or sports in general, because we see what freaking LeBron, he likes to say he doesn't have any impact. I think that's complete bullshit. He has impact in every decision they make, except for probably the Luka Doncic trade, but that's besides the point. But ultimately, recapping what I've all said, this team, unless they make drastic moves in the offseason and really upgrade, who's to say they don't make it back to the playoffs for another 5, 10 years, and we're just sitting here watching mediocre baseball back again before we actually made it back to the playoffs back in 2022. I think it could realistically happen. But overall, how would you recap everything that we talked about today in our overall rank?
Yeah, I first want to talk about the free agency once again, because I know that's going to be like a really big deal come spring training and like moving on into this next season. Some guys I definitely reconsider to bring back on this team if you get the chance. I have 3 players on this list. I have JT Realmuto, Ranger Suarez, and Harrison Bader. Those guys, those two, Real Muto and Bader, are basically the key for this offense. Bader, when he came with us at the trade deadline, he's just been on fire. He's had a great batting average. We put him in the leadoff spot for Turner. He's just been on fire. And then Real Muto, he's one of the best catchers in the game right now. He's been one of our best catchers. Hitting wise, he's done a really good job with this series. That triple he had when Hernandez let it roll to the wall, and then the home run with Kershaw, I think it was. But yeah, he's had some great defensive plays throughout over the years. Some great at bats. He definitely knows what to call behind the plate. So I no doubt you can definitely re-sign him next year. Ranger Suarez, I've said it time and time again. He's been a really good starting pitcher for this team. And just you definitely got to re-sign this guy. If you let this guy walk to the Mets, I might go bonkers, like, because that should not happen whatsoever. So definitely consider that. And then Bader again, he's been on fire. The kid's a stud. You definitely got to re-sign somebody like that. He's been a great center fielder too. Not gonna lie, that's something we desperately need. We needed a better outfielder, and that guy's definitely shown it this season. But then moving on just to like the starting pitching as well. We're gonna have Wheeler back when he gets done his surgery. Sanchez, maybe Luzardo, Nola, Taijuan Walker. I don't think we should bring him back this year. It's like it's ups or downs with this guy. He sort of was on like a roll in the beginning of the season, and then just coming late to like the second half of the season, he just fell apart. He's the same pitcher he was, and you definitely said you don't want to see him back on this team last year, back when he was on the team back in like 2024. But I don't know. We'll see what happens with this guy. Walker Buehler, I know we picked him off of free agency, but I think you're gonna let that guy walk. David Robinson, you're definitely walking this guy. Jordan Romano, get the fuck out of here. Ryan Kerkering, I mean, you just got to wrap your arms around this dude. He's just been having, he just had a bad game and just blew the season for us. But you know, he's still a young guy, and he's been one of the better guys in the bullpen. I think you still got to give this dude a shot if you definitely have the chance, because I think it could improve your bullpen a lot with guys like Tanner Banks and like Johan Duran. And then offense, I know you're gonna have Turner, Harper this next season, but then you gotta start looking at like what you drafted from what you drafted, and just think who's gonna make a good offense. What sort of guys are gonna make a good offense for you, and especially just looking at the guys who come in from like Lehigh Valley, Justin Crawford, Aiden Miller. There's 2 guys you definitely got to reconsider. Like, you can't just let them rot in AAA. Like, they're just constantly batting really good, and it's just like you're just letting them rot in AAA. It's just missed opportunities. Like, I don't know if they can somewhat fix this offense. I think, without a doubt in my mind, I think they can definitely go back this year, and maybe make it even further than the division series if they improve this team the right way. And just new manager, maybe new front office, Thompson, I think his time is done for this team. He has to go. Um, Dave Dombrowski, I like the trade deadline. He did this year. We got Harrison Bader, Johan Duran. It was a really good deadline, but I don't know how some of his future trades might go throughout come next season. We're just gonna have to see. But yeah, I definitely reconsider just a new front office. Definitely fire your manager, fire your batting coach, and you just gotta figure out what this team is missing. How to properly manage your team, managing your offense, your bullpen, just your whole entire team as a whole. Just get them some emotion to feel like they want to keep fighting. They want to go further because I tell you, if you're just sitting in the dugout, no emotion, and your players are just arguing, just completely they're just having mental breakdowns over at home plate and just don't do anything to back up your players. What's the point of keeping your job? Like you're basically just not doing anything for this team. I think they definitely got to change. They definitely got to change in their front offense. It definitely will get them further this year. So we'll see how this next season might go for this team. Can they definitely pull it off and get back? Maybe go even further. Maybe in another year or so. Maybe next year. Who knows? You're gonna have to wait and find out.
Yeah.
That's
I,
all I got for you.
Yeah, I think you summed it up perfectly, man. There's basically I don't have much to say because I think you summed it up how we're all feeling and how we feel things in the future might go because we're all questioning things as an organization. We're all considering what are we looking forward to? What do we expect to happen? Because there's so many issues on this team that can't be fixable.
Do they keep Kyle Schwarber? Do they keep him? They don't know. He was a key component for your offense, but I'm really not so sure about it now. And I don't think some of the fans are either.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think at the end of the day, this team was a team that had great expectations, but just failed to reach them. And the way we look at this Philadelphia Phillies core between 2022 and 2025 is a F, a big failure. A team that had great expectations, had great teams set up year after year after year, but then just had issue after issue come up between the bullpen or either not hitting. The one thing that was consistent though was cold hitting, and is what's going to lead you to have to blow up this team because you've ran back the same offense, only really inserting Trey Turner in for Gene Segura. So, but anything else you want to say, or you pretty much got everything out you wanted to say about this pathetic baseball team?
It's basically the same team, but a different year. That's all it really is. Something something has to change. This era is over. If you look at it, this era is over. You're losing a lot of players, and you gotta take some matters into your own hands now. You gotta plan out your future with this team, because how else are you gonna get to the World Series with a good offense, solid bullpen that can shut you down and get you through some innings, good front office, good president, and a solid manager that can actually provide some good emotion for this team, provide some comfort for them when they're going through seasons. I don't know what's going to happen. We'll definitely have to wait and see for next year for sure.
Yeah,
What's going to happen?
exactly. And my final words are the Philadelphia Phillies are officially the same as the Philadelphia 76ers. That's how I want to end things off. The Philadelphia Phillies are the same exact when it comes to the Sixers. Their failed playoffs are more the same of the Phillies playoffs. And as of right now,
They're the same picture. They're the same picture.
they
You
are.
put them side by side, same picture.
Yeah,
Doesn't change. They don't change.
exactly. But this is going to wrap up this Phillies rant and just recapping this Phillies core as a whole. But once again, I like to appreciate Justin coming on, giving your thoughts. You really gave everything you had tonight, and I appreciate that. You really harped on what this team did wrong and what we need to do in the future. But Other than that, that's going to wrap up tonight's show. Thanks once again for Justin for coming on. And like I keep harping at the end of these episodes, keep watching because me and Joe are trying to get the best content out for you guys. Other than that, enjoy your night. Try to enjoy some football tomorrow night if you're a Philly fan in general, because obviously not the Phillies, just teams in general have been tough. But that'll be a discussion.
Yeah, we know what happened to the Eagles this week.
But
not good.
Exactly. But other than that, enjoy the rest of your night and try to enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys. Other than that, good night. Peace, guys.